Today we'll talk about cravings and some of the contributing factors that lead to cravings. So we can start with the different macronutrients and go over each of those. So looking at carbohydrates, if you are eating more of the simple carbohydrates, so remember we have complex and we have simple. Complex carbohydrates are more like whole grains, oatmeal, whole fruit, things like that. Simple carbohydrates, on the other hand, are things that get your blood sugar elevated very quickly, things that contain sugar, juice, refined wheat, flour, things that you might find in white bread or bagels or cookies or pastries or desserts or anything like that. These are all things that your body basically treats as sugar, whether it is actually sugar or not. And so if you are eating too many of those simple carbohydrates, those hit your blood sugar quickly. They get you on that roller coaster ride that we've talked about before, where your blood sugar goes up, then it crashes, so you get cravings, you get tired, you get anxious, you get hangry. So if you're having too many simple carbohydrates, they lead to more cravings, because when your blood sugar crashes, your body wants more of that, and so it's going to crave more of those simple carbohydrates. Looking at protein, having too low amount of protein in your diet can also lead to cravings. So protein is very good at keeping you full for a longer period of time. And so if you eat enough protein in a meal, it can keep you full for a few more hours and get you to that next meal and minimize the amount of cravings that you're going to have in between. So making sure that you're prioritizing protein with your meals, and possibly even having protein-filled snacks during the day. If you have some windows of time between lunch and dinner maybe, where you tend to get cravings, focus more on protein during those snacks, and that can help you get to that next meal and have fewer of those cravings for sweet and sugary foods. So the third macronutrient, looking at fat, if we are not eating enough healthy fat, we can also have more cravings, because your body needs that. It needs fat to do a lot of different processes in the body. It needs it to create hormones and all kinds of things. And so when you're not eating enough of it, your body is going to crave it. It's going to crave more food. And so you can have more cravings throughout the day because you're not eating enough healthy fat. Hydration is another factor. So when we're dehydrated, sometimes our bodies can mistake that for being hungry. And so just drink more water. That's the way to solve that problem. Sometimes you may even eat a meal and think that you should be full afterwards, but you actually still feel kind of hungry. Try drinking some more water. Sometimes that can help fill your stomach up to keep you fuller for a longer period of time to get you to that next meal. And then the last factor would be sleep. People tend to have pretty poor sleep, but what they don't realize is that poor sleep can also lead to more cravings. And those cravings tend to be more for simple carbohydrates and those higher carb, those sweeter foods. So we end up getting into this cycle. You don't sleep very well, so then you have more cravings for those simple carbs. So then you eat those simple carbs, and then that gets onto that roller coaster ride where you're having those highs and the lows, and then you want more sweets, and then you don't get as good a sleep the next night, and then you're just in this vicious cycle of getting less sleep, having more cravings, and it's really hard to break. So in conclusion, best strategies for helping to deal with cravings are: make sure you're limiting your simple carbohydrate intake. Focus more on the complex carbs, those whole foods, those whole fruits. Make sure you're getting enough protein. Make sure you're eating good healthy fat. That's things like eggs, olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. And make sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day. And then also do the best you can to improve your sleep, both the quantity of sleep and the quality of sleep that you can get. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, let me know if you have questions. Thanks for listening.